Hello, everyone. Welcome to another special episode of the Saturday Expert Series. So, today we are doing a special episode for the International Women's Day, and we're going to talk everything about being a woman and how to support women's health. And who could be a better guest than Vaidya Meenakshi Gupta, who's the founder of Ayurroots, and she's extremely amazing, super knowledgeable about women's health, and that's who we have in town for our show today. So, we will be talking about restoring your rhythm with Ayurveda. And I hope that each of you will take some action, with whatever information you find today. So, let's get started. The first question I have for you, Vaidya Meenakshi, is how different are women than men? When we talk about health requirements, and often, there is, with today's world, there's so much competition, trying to neglect our health like men or trying to do certain things like men. So, how different are women and their needs?
So I would start with, first of all, namaskar everybody, and really congratulations on the International Women's Day. So how the woman is different from men? It's totally different. Woman we cannot define easily, and then men agrees on that we cannot define woman easily. Woman is beautiful, elegant also, wild also, and there is a no woman like another, and each woman is radiant in a special and unique way. And those women, if we see in our lives also, those women's, all the women's mom, grandmas, aunts, and even sisters, daughters hold a special place in everybody's heart. And without them, I would say that we can't even dare to dream. And women bring a lot of happiness. And when it comes to the Ayurveda, the woman is the one which goes through different phases of life. Woman as a teenager also, when she become pregnant also, give the birth to the baby also, and then the transition happen, raising the babies, and then finally menopause. And after the menopause only we say that, okay, let's start now aging gracefully. So Ayurveda, there is a different phases of life in Ayurveda, we say that, which are present in men's life also. But since there is a lot of hormonal changes goes throughout women's life, not as compared to the men's life. So that is itself makes the woman a very unique, because their bodies are so complex. And in spite of having the hormonal challenges, I feel that the women are the most powerful creature on this earth. From monthly menstrual cycle, pregnancy, early motherhood, menopause, the female body is constantly changing and adapting to all those changes, which I feel that nobody can adapt so gracefully with all the changes what a woman does on day to day life in her life. And whether the woman is married or raising a kid or retired, or even if you are flying solo or anything in between, Ayurveda actually offers a wealth of practical knowledge to help women stay balanced at every age and stage of life. And those knowledge we actually acquire from our grandmas, moms. Do this during this phase of life. Okay, if you somebody is pregnant, this is the type of we call it as a charyas, means routine you should follow. Garbhini Paricarya in Ayurveda also it has been mentioned. Then the Prasuta Charya also, and then comes the menopause. So the constant change itself makes the woman more powerful.
Oh, that is so true, and we are like we try to compete. Like I grew up most of my life competing with boys, all my cousins and my brother, and like, oh, why can't I do better, But then you have to understand that your requirements, your mind, like your emotions, your entire physiology as well as your emotional makeup is completely different. And you're just kind of comparing apples to oranges, we are not exactly the same. So there's like no comparison, we are two different things. So I found that out much later. I'm just gonna say a quick hi to Hema. Thank you for saying namaste. Namaste to you as well. Thank you for showing up here. And this is a really, interesting topic. This is a really important topic. And as you said, my first introduction to Ayurveda was through my grandmother. As we talk about the culture that has been passed down either through the charyas or either through different, like snippets that have been passed down as cultural practices. It's funny that I remember, my first Ayurvedic drink that I ever had was the Mahamanjishtadi Kashayam. And I had no idea what was Ayurved at the time. I just knew that Manjishtha sounded almost like Manjiri. So I was like, oh, that's exciting. But I used to get this weird stripes when I would go swimming. Like I would tan in a really weird way. And I knew that Manjishtha was really helping me at the time. So, yeah, this is something very interesting. So we are talking about women's phases of different phases in the life, and you also mentioned about specific charyas, right? So we talk about uh, like sutika paricharya or garbhini paricharya and all the things, and even for the rutu or the menstrual cycle, there are certain specific practices that we follow. How can we connect those with the doshas? We talk about doshas as the main energies and they're always dynamic, so how can we connect those two?
Hmm. So let's talk about first in a reverse order. Let's go with the teens. So
Okay.
teens are kind of like a when we guide the teens in a better way, that is kind of like a laying the foundation for lifelong health.
Mhm.
And teenagers are those years where we see rapid transition also, and the changes not only on the physical level, even the mental level for the young woman, right? And that is the stage of life which is governed by Pitta dosha.
Mhm.
We want to talk about the dosha. So teens is the life time period when the Pitta dosha gets dominant. And Pitta dosha is associated with the heat, metabolism also, and the transformation also. And though that the Pitta dosha itself makes the teen more exciting, more indulging into the expensive things also, but all those hormonal fluctuation and changes can actually make your teen overwhelm also at times, even for parents also.
Mhm.
Behavioral changes, diet aspect changes, they start craving for the different food also. It all happens because the Pitta dosha.
Mhm.
And to harness the transforming power of Pitta dosha, so it is very, very important that one should be having like a mindful regarding if you have a teenage girl, then mindful regarding a teenage girl underlying doshas. Though the face is Pitta dosha, but what your teenage girl uh, prakriti is, means if the person is, the teenage girl is having a vata prakriti, so then instead of feeding her dry foods or the cold salad or the smoothies, make the food which is more warming and nurturing.
Mhm.
Similar way, because of the pitta dosh dominant during that phase of the age, if it is the teenager is having kapha dosh prakriti, so making the food which is not heavy, which is easier to digest, to create the balance at the pitta and the kapha level. So
Mhm.
that's how we can always follow the pitta pacifying diet. And the pitta pacifying diet is like rich in well cooked, fresh, colorful meals, especially where there is a sweetness. Sweetness here doesn't mean that the bakery's products. Sweetness means the whole grains, juicy fruits itself, veggies like squash, even the green peas. So instead of choosing, if at that age, as I said, the tongue buds also keeps on changing, the taste buds also keeps on changing. So instead of having like a store bought pizza, maybe it is a good time to get along with the teenager, and then you can make a your own healthy creation.
Mhm.
And then comes the 20th and 30th, which is still the pitta phase. But that is kind of like a where you can count towards the stress relief, rejuvenation also, because that is a time period most of the young girls they start staying away from the home
Mhm.
for the education, or some got married and they moved away from the other place or the job, so start their career also. So that is the time when pitta dosha still is predominant, and during this dynamic phase, stress management is the key, because stress is very much related to your digestion and overall health.
Mhm.
So that is the time period when a person can adapt meditation, yoga, or simply setting aside some time for the self care. And Ayurveda has given Dr. Manjari a lot of self care routine. As a Ayurveda practitioner, you also know that in the form of Dincharya, Ritucharya,
Mhm.
right? So they can incorporate those things on day to day life.
Mhm.
And that is a time period also where the fertility is also very high. So if somebody wants children, so they can turn their attention to nurturing their Shukra Dhatu,
Mhm.
that is a reproductive tissue. So, food that nourishes the reproductive tissue and boosts the fertility, that includes all the dairy products. If you can get good quality of dairy products, fresh organic produce, then
Mhm.
soaked almonds, walnuts, and milkshakes in the form of not the fruit milkshakes, date milkshakes, where you process the milk with the dates, dry dates.
Mhm.
Porridge, rice porridge combined with the rice, combined with the milk and some spices. So those are the things which one can incorporate on day-to-day basis to nourish the Shukra Dhatu or the reproductive tissue.
Mhm.
And then comes the 40s and 50s.
Mhm.
And that is where the menopause started.
Mhm.
So women being moving gradually out of the pitta phase during that time period. For some people it can be 40, for some people it can be 50 also.
Mhm.
And some people they stay in the perimenopause phase from 5 to 10 years also. So this is the time period when woman comes out of the pitta phase gradually and start going towards the vata phase.
Mhm.
So this is the time when if somebody is going through that phase, you will notice that the skin starts becoming dry. A person might lose the hairs also, hot flashes, emotional ups and downs because of the hormonal fluctuation. But that is the time period where a woman should not be fear out of those. Many times in our clinical setting, we see that the anxiety, depression, all those fearfulness also crop up during that time period. So that is the time when you can adapt a dietary changes and lifestyle modification to combat those discomfort, to how to you can minimize those discomfort. So for that also one Ayurveda has guided us again through the Dincharya, Ritucharya, because menopause is also a form of Ritucharya.
Mhm.
Ritu means where one is connected to your season, another one is connected to your phase of your life also.
Mhm.
So those are the things which one can follow.
Mhm.
And if in during that period, because it's the gradual transition of Pitta going towards Vata, so if during that time period, Pitta-based menopausal symptoms like irritability, hot flashes, anger issues, even the night sweats happens, then one can always adapt a Pitta pacifying diet.
Mhm.
So, which is very easy that you avoid the spicy food, salty food, sour food, and you can favor the bitter, astringent, even the sweet taste, because those are the tastes which help in pacify the pitta dosha.
Mhm.
And if somebody is experienced vata related menopause symptoms like dryness in the skin or the scalp or the vaginal dryness also, and vata associated symptoms, memory also start getting foggy,
Mhm.
memory loss also happens sometimes, we see that. Then one can always bring Vat dosh into the balance state with the warm food and Vata pacifying diet. The food which has little oiliness in the form of ghee or nurturing food, warm food, freshly cooked food, that one can incorporate.
Mhm.
And then comes 60 to 70. And that is, I always tell, it is kind of like your golden years. So relish those golden years. For many women, 60 to 70 years offer the opportunity that now you leave your family. Family means the kids go out, you are empty nester. And it is kind of like a rebirth of sorts where you can give attention to your body.
Mhm.
Uh, Most of the people they get retired during that time and their attention changes. If you have certain hobbies, you want to travel, volunteer work, passion, that is the right time to do that. Still, we are in the Vata phase now, and that is a time period. Uh, Ayurveda can keep you at best and brightest if we are following all these things from the beginning of 30 years. So,
Mhm.
taking care of our health during that time period, start from that time period, is very, very important. And as I said, that the Vata is the dominant during this phase of life. A daily abhyanga, simple daily abhyanga with warm sesame oil,
Mhm.
that is one can do on regular basis, because now we are free from majority of the family work or the job work. So then you can create a routine for me time where you can pamper your body with the warm nourishing sesame oil. And also there are various other therapies which one can do at home, like udvartana scrub also during that time period.
Mhm.
Then comes 80 to beyond. So that is the time period which I say that aging gracefully with Ayurveda.
Mhm.
So the Ayurvedic lifestyle, uh, which we follow during the 60s or 70, the same are applicable in this age also, 80 and beyond, depending upon how much strength you have. But as the Vata phase of the life progress, it is more important that you watch your diet also now. Keep yourself hydrated, because this is the extreme Vata phase, and warm water on daily basis, moisture your skin with daily abhyanga, and follow a healthy Ayurvedic dincharya routine to balance the Vata dosha. And that's how we can align with the rhythm of nature.
So, like those are, really great tips. And my question is, because we're talking about Rutu, so what about the menstrual cycle? Like in today's world, I see so many clients on birth control pills and who don't menstruate. And in Ayurveda, we talk about how important menstruation is, not just for your body cleansing, but also the emotional cleansing, right? So,
True.
any thoughts around, menstruation or the absence of menstruation due to either hormonal pills or other causes? And how can one optimize, their, diet or routine around the menstrual time for best results?
So, in Ayurveda, there is a lot of emphasis has been given on the menstruation cycle. It is never recommended that one should take the hormone pills for the stopping the menstruation, unless until somebody has like a heavy bleeding issue or the other health concerns. Then definitely, but Ayurveda offers solutions there also.
Mhm.
But on the long run, uh, it is kind of like a, I would say, Dr. Manjari, that what needs to stay in the body should stay inside the body. But what has to come out of the body, that also needs to come out of the body. And if we try to stop that somewhere, then it creates the imbalance.
Mhm.
So Ayurveda never recommend. Yes, there are many problems associated with the menstruation, but all those are related to the hormones. And if we talk about the hormones, we all know that the diet plays an important role for hormones these days. And our diet has become so not nurturing these days, especially for the teenagers or the mid 2030s. We don't have time, first of all, to cook. I remember yesterday I was talking to some client and I was telling the story that when I was like a 13-year, I knew how to cook. And even I have a 17 years old daughter, but sometimes it is like making an effort of telling her, okay, you need to learn this, because once you are out of this house for the higher studies, then if you are not knowing that how to cook, then it's going to be leading to the junk food.
Mhm.
And that's what it is happening, because we don't have time to cook. We all, it's like a just quick, what we can fix quick,
Mhm.
right? Store bought, and that disrupt the hormones. So first we need to correct that, and then only we can restore that rhythm with the Ayurveda for the menstrual issues also.
Mhm. So we have a few questions here. We have a lot of viewers. So hello everyone. If you are watching this live, please put a hashtag as live. And if you have any questions for us, please you can comment with questions. Manchika has a question. Can you please talk about very high menstruation due to pitta aggravation and how it can be controlled?
So, if there is a heavy menstruation due to high pitta, you know that it is a high pitta related. But sometimes we see that because of not only the pitta, vata also gets aggravated. That's how the flow happens, the downward movement of menstruation happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, for that, first correct the diet. So, see where the imbalance is. Not necessarily it is a pitta dosh imbalance. Dominant dosh can be imbalanced vata also. So
Mm-hmm.
first we need to correct that imbalance through making the dietary choices, and then definitely less spicy food. And also there are certain herbs which Ayurveda has suggested for to correct the menstrual imbalance. Shatavari is the one thing which I want to add here, which in Ayurveda has mentioned for all the phases of the life for the woman. That is one of the best herbs for the woman's health. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the excessive menstruation, heavy periods can be associated with your mental health also. So if the stress is playing an important role, raising your cortisol level, then it will make sure that your other hormones are also getting into the imbalance state. So correct all these, and that's how we can create the balance. But then if you need the further help with that, then I would definitely suggest either consult Vaidya Manjari or me. We both have our information, and we'll be glad to help you.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. And see, it's, that's a really good point because when we talk about pitta, there could be like 100%, when you're talking about heavy menstruation, there could be pitta aggravation, but there could also be fibroids, which can be caused by kapha, right? Any kind of growth.
True,
Or
true.
there could be, vata imbalance as well. So you can't just focus on one thing for one thing. That's what most people do. So that's why consulting with, an Ayurvedic doctor would work well. Anuradha Gupta has a question. Hi, Anuradha. So she has a question that issues with Agni impact hormones, which is true. Within the modern context, what is the convenient thing that kids can do?
So, depending upon if there is a issue with the Agni impact hormones, first we need to correct the digestive fire. And Anuradha, I believe that you know about Ayurveda. So, correcting the Agni is very, very important. For that, Ayurveda has given wonderful herbs in the form of trikatu, or you can stand alone ginger, black pepper, pipli also, piper longum. But make sure that you know if the your kiddo is pitta doshi dominant, then trikatu might not be a good choice stand alone for a longer duration. So, because Trikatu can aggravate the Pitta as well. Though it is a Deepana Pachana corrects the Agni, but it can always make sure that you consult somebody before going for the Trikatu.
Mhm.
And then correcting the diet is the main important. So I always tell everybody, so Ayurveda has given us three sub pillars of life, right? Vat, Pit, Kaph are the pillars, and the sub pillars are Ahar, Nidra, Brahmacharya.
Mhm.
So diet is the first most important. So that's why we say that diet is your medicine. And then comes the sleep.
Mhm.
Correct the sleep also, because your sleep pattern is again related to your Agni issue.
Mhm.
So those things when you correct, and how the person is using the senses also, overindulgence in everything, even in the study, overindulgence or on the social media, that also creates the imbalance. So first we correct those three things, then the herbs part come or the spices part come.
Mhm. No, definitely. And one thing for children that I see a lot, I'm seeing a lot of precocious puberty in my practice as well. So definitely, if you have a high pitta diet nowadays, in the Western world, we talk about fermented foods, right?
Hmm.
So adding pickles or sauerkraut to your diet, or, even if you look at the meats and the hormone laden meats, the emphasis on a paleo diet, which is like really rich in meat. So if you're getting excess hormones, from excess meat consumption, right? Those are things that you can easily control in kids if you teach them good habits. If you add more fiber to their diet, that also, because sometimes the issue related to agni is also because of the lack of detoxification. If you're constantly looking at the or eating the standard American diet, burgers, and even children are like super constipated, right? They're not
That is,
detoxifying. Yeah.
yeah, that is so true. And I would say, as a parent, also that we should not feel guilty about that we didn't teach.
Yeah.
We always try to teach the good things, and sometimes the peer pressure, and sometimes it's the society where they want to have explore the things. And since this is a pitta phase of life for all the teenager,
Yeah.
so the exploration part comes through the pitta phase only.
Mhm.
So that's why we have to teach from the beginning itself that okay, these things are occasionally, if you want to incorporate, it is good. And as Vaidya Manjari has said that the hormones are loaded in lots of food, processed food, even in the dairy also. So that's why it is always good to get the good quality of dairy products also.
Mhm.
And those things, when we make changes, then we can see that the correction of agni or the correction of hormones also.
Okay. There's another question about the management of PCOD. That's a long question.
That is a different, totally different subject, and for that the proper history needs to be known,
Yeah.
because that is not something which one can generalize. This For that, I would definitely suggest either contact Vaidya Manjari or myself, and
Yeah.
we'll be ready to help you. Yeah.
And if you go onto my YouTube channel, you might also find some videos I've done on PCOS, PCOD, the differences between the two. We might not have enough time today, So I'm going to take a few more questions. I know Dr. Meenakshi is in her clinic. She has clients too. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss this Saturday's live, So we scheduled it slightly differently. Okay. Painful menstruation, also Pitta Vata imbalance, or just Pitta is the question. Yeah.
Okay. Painful menstruation is Pitta Vata imbalance, because wherever there is a pain, Vata is always, that is the classical feature of Vata.
Yeah.
The shul, we call
Yeah.
it as pain as a shul. That is a classical, and then the line of treatment should be to correct the Vata imbalance first, but not aggravating the Pitta imbalance. So that is more important here.
And the second question by Dr. Rajan Patankar is kind of aligned. Apan Vayu must be balanced 100%. And,
True.
whether it's your pelvic region, everything about, Apan Vayu. Jill is asking me, do you all know anything about MS? So we both know everything from an Ayurvedic perspective about MS, multiple sclerosis. But again, due to the time today and the limitations that we have, it's a completely different topic. And hopefully, I'll be talking about neurological system once. I don't think I've done a lot on neurology, but hopefully I'll do another session on neurological system. But I have worked with MS clients, so has Dr. Meenakshi. So for sure, get in touch. Kavita is saying thank you so much for the great information. So, okay, broiler chicken can cause. Okay, a good question. Is broiler chicken can be a cause of PCOD, PCOS, and infertility?
Namaskar, Rajan sir. You are more experienced than us. I would say that definitely the chicken, especially in United States, is loaded with all the hormones. So that definitely disrupt all the hormones in female body, especially. So yes, broiler chicken can cause PCOD or PCOS and the other health
Yeah,
issues.
and see, anytime you're not digesting food, you're creating armor, right? So, like I know Dr. Rajan knows a lot more and he's way more experienced. But for everybody else listening, like anything that you're eating might be the best food, but if you don't digest it, it will turn into toxin. There is a saying that what you don't digest is going to digest you. So we have to be careful with our foods. Now, before we sign off, I have one quick question for Dr. Meenakshi: is what are the 3 Ayurvedic self-care mantras that you would recommend all women should follow? Right?
So those are based upon the three pillars of life only. Watch your diet, be mindful regarding your diet. Because when you are mindful, then you will see that that you can create a balance not only in your life but for the family also. So staying in touch with your body is the key, and that can happen only when your diet is mindful. And then second thing, sleep, because as a woman we are the backbone of the society for family. So sleep is also important part, and that I have learned a few years back in a hard way when I was compromising my sleep, and that started compromising my own health. So now, no matter what, 9:30, I go to sleep, wake up during the Brahma Muhurta. So I'm actually following everything from past 7, 8 years. And I have seen tremendous help in my own health without involving any herb or any medicine. So correcting your sleep is also very, very important. And then lowering the stress. Rest, dincharya follow, ritucharya follow. Everything comes when you are being mindful. But when you are correcting your sleep, correcting your diet, and also lowering your stress level, because as a woman, we wear so many hats in the society, right? And that is the thing where the stress level goes up. And in female, unfortunately, when the cortisol levels rise up, it does not get into the normal stage up to 4 to 5 hours. And in
Mhm.
those 4 to 5 hours, if we are encountering another stressor, so that means we are always in the high cortisol zone. So
Mhm.
those are the three things if one can practice on daily basis and being mindful regarding these three things, then we can restore rhythm actually with Ayurveda.
Thank you so much, Vaidya Meenakshi. This was really wonderful. I know this was a quick
Yes, I
like,
know. We are
so
so sorry because of my schedule and Vaidya Manjari's schedule today. It was
yeah,
like a quick one, but
yeah.
we will do more in future. And I'm sure you guys have enjoyed our this session.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching this. Thanks once again, Dr. Meenakshi. And everyone, if you have questions, please, post your questions in the comment section. And I will be back next week for another Saturday Expert topic. Monday is the International Women's Day. Make sure you're taking time for yourself and doing something that really fills your soul, right? So thank you so much once again. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.